The NFL season is almost here, which means it's prediction time. So, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have my NFL standing predictions. Yes, I forgot the S. You know who I am, so let's get into it. We're going to start in the AFC East. I have the Jets coming in last. Sorry. I have the Patriots coming in third. Now, hear me out. All offseason, I've heard, oh, the Patriots are going to win 9 games. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. I'm not entirely sold on some of the improvements they have. Yes, I think Drake May, there's going to be some year 2 development here. Yes, I think the move from Gerard Mayo to Mike Vrabel, big move. I agree. But this team was so talent deficient last year that I don't think this influx of talent is going to be some massive game changer, right? Yes, you get Christian Barmore back. Yes, you bring in Milton Williams in free agency. Yes, you have improved in theory along the offensive line, but these are rookies that you have improved with along the offensive line. Your number 4 pick, Will Campbell. I don't know if Will Campbell is going to be this stalwart left tackle immediately. I don't think he was as good of a prospect as, say, a Joe Alt or a Penei Sewell or Tristan Wirfs. These guys who did come in and were immediate impacts. I think he might have a bit of a learning curve, more like a Peter Skoronski or more like a Paris Johnson, who they're certainly not bad players, but they weren't world beaters from the first game. Ronnie Stanley back in the day with the Ravens. So I have my concerns with the Patriots. I think they'll be fine. They'll be better than a 3-win team. They'll be more talented, but I don't necessarily think they're going to win 8, 9, 10 games. And of course, I'll have the Miami Dolphins coming in second. There's a difference of 1 game here. Honestly, these teams to me are all 6, 7, maybe 8 if things break right. Like if they play a team with an injured quarterback, if they, have a game they hit an extra field goal or their opponent, throws a bad interception, whatever it may be. And of course, the Bills winning the AFC East once again. Jack, your thoughts?
I pretty much agree. Like you said with your assessment on the Patriots, I think that they're better than what they were last year, but I don't necessarily see them being better than the Dolphins. And the Jets right now are just, what is even going on? Sell. That's all I have to say. Sell.
Yeah, I have some positives for the Jets. I do think they will have a terrific running game. I do think they will have a terrific offensive line. And I do think their defense will be a lot better than it was last year. One thing when you're saying, oh, the defense is failing, maybe don't fire your defensive-minded head coach if you think the defense is failing. Maybe let them figure it out. But their defense was a disaster by the end of the season. They were one of the worst teams in football. In Miami, I appreciate that they have built up in the trenches. They have, tried. They have one of the best defensive lines in football. Bradley Chubb, he's coming off injury. Jalen Phillips also coming off injury. Chop Robinson had a really good rookie season last year. Zach Seiler, he is one of the most unheralded guys in football, honestly. He is, if we're talking most underrated players, he should be on that list. He should, well, technically he shouldn't be because he should be widely regarded as one of the premier interior players, but he is a very underrated piece. And then along the offensive line, they have made some Marshall upgrades. I think they have tried to establish more of a mentality to be able to run the football, to get Devon Achane and co out into space, as opposed to, hey, we're going to get hit behind the line of scrimmage often. So you still have Hill, you still have Waddle. I like the passing game more than the Patriots passing game. I like the rushing game more than the Patriots rushing game, with all due respect to Travion Henderson truthers. Quarterback, I think it's a push. Tua, when healthy, is still really good. And yes, the health is a big problem. And yes, the Dolphins could go 3-14 and Tua misses half the season. I get it. But I am going to just predict Tua is healthy because I would like to see him healthy. So honestly,
Agree. Football is better when Tua is healthy.
Absolutely. Football is also better when Joe Flacco is quarterbacking games. He's the week 1 starter in Cleveland. The offense is nothing to write home about. This is a very old offensive line. It could be a very new offensive line as of next season. Shout out to Joe Flacco. Number 3, Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers in, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields out. We will see. You bring in DK Metcalf. You take out George Pickens. You put in Caleb Johnson, their 3rd-round pick out of Iowa. And this is a spectacular defense, especially the front 4. Cam Hayward, all-pro last season. TJ Watt, one of the best 15 players in the NFL, in my opinion. Keanu Benton, he's a stud. They drafted Harmon out of Derek Harmon, also a stud. I dig it. I have some high-end quarterback questions with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think there's a world he can be like the 8th best quarterback in the NFL, but could he be 17th? Absolutely. And number 2 in the division, Cincinnati. I think they have something of a return to form this year. The defense, while bad last season, I get it. They did miss Dax Hill for a chunk of the season. They missed Cam Taylor-Britt for a chunk of the season. Jordan Battle is still developing. Geno Stone was just miscast, I would say, in his role. You have a new defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo. He's out. He's in Indianapolis. You bring in Ohio State's defensive coordinator. I'm sorry, Notre Dame's defensive coordinator. My apologies. There is improvement to be had there, and the offense is the offense. Is it going to be quite as prolific as it was last year? Probably not, but I think the offense takes a quarter of a step back, the defense takes a step forward, and they finish second behind the Baltimore Ravens. I think they have the best roster in the NFL. The only reason they might not be number one in your power rankings is that John Harbaugh is not as good of a coach as Andy Reid. That's fine. AFC South Titans.
That was quick.
Number 1 pick. Hey, Jack, do you have any?
I think you were pretty sold on the Ravens winning the AFC North this year. I agree with you though, actually. It could be a little bit more of a back and forth than we've seen in previous years, but I think that just tends to be the war in the AFC North. So I think this is one of those divisions where realistically we see 3 teams make the playoffs. My only question about the Bengals is, can they get off to a hot start? Because we see it all the time. Joe Burrow ends up having to try and dig them out of holes that they dig for themselves at the start of the year. If they can avoid that slow start, if they can actually get out of the gate firing in all cylinders, they got a chance.
Yeah, that's fair. They do start in Cleveland, so keep that in mind. The Browns also
against New England, and that did not go well. So
that is a good point, but the Browns also suck early on in the season. So, tomatoes, tomatoes. All right. Moving to the AFC South, the Titans. There is a reason they had the number 1 pick last season, similar to the Patriots. Talent doesn't grow on trees. They're not going to like quadruple their talent all that fast, right? Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward. This will be a octobox team. This will be a quad box team. This will be I want to watch Cam Ward throw the football. Calvin Ridley, draft him in fantasy. I would like to do that when we get off this. Get out of this video and I do a fantasy draft. But yeah, the future is bright. I will say that the future is bright. Number 3, I have the Colts. The Daniel Jones of it all is fascinating to me. I am higher on Daniel Jones than I think a lot of people are. I see some upside here that he, in this Shane Steichen offense, that he can play the Gardner Minshew role. He can play that quarterbacky role, get the ball out and feed the playmakers here. And it's a lot of good playmakers. Michael Pittman is a good player. Alec Pierce, not in this offense with Daniel Jones at quarterback, but if Anthony Richardson has to come in, Pierce is terrific. You have Josh Downs, who is terrific in the slot. You draft Tyler Warren at number 14. I love the weapons. Jonathan Taylor is good. Some offensive line questions. You replace Will Fries and you replace Ryan Kelly. Defensively, they're fine. They're the 18th best defense or the 23rd best defense or something like that. I don't think they're going to be tragic defensively. I don't think they're going to be elite defensively. Although you do have Gus Bradley in his cover 3 scheme out. You bring in Lou Anarumo. So something different there. You have Charvarius Ward now. Fun player. I hope he bounces back for his sake. But I think this is a 3rd place team behind the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, if you want to bet it over 8.5, I don't hate it. Working from a 3rd place schedule, I think they have some upside here. Trevor Lawrence, I think he's a top 20-ish quarterback in the game. The running back room does not scare me at all. But BTJ, Travis Hunter on the outside, I love that. Brenton Strange, go pick him up in fantasy in the late rounds of your draft. Offensive line has some issues. Defensively, I wonder how much Travis plays, but he doesn't have to be the cornerback 1. There's Tyson Campbell to do that job. You have Devin Lloyd, who has developed over time. You have Josh Hines-Allen on the defensive line. Trayvon Walker has been a solid player. Hasn't quite lived up to number 1 pick in the draft billing, but he's been a solid player. Oh, yeah, and you have a kicker who can apparently make 70-yard field goals. So maybe that flips the game. Maybe that flips the game here or there. I have the Houston Texans as the AFC South champions for the 3rd year in a row. Just a tremendous defense. And I trust CJ Stroud to get the most out of their offense. Nico Collins is great. Jaden Higgins is a Nico Collins clone. He is also, I expect him to be very good very quickly. Dalton Schultz, perfectly fine. The running back room is kind of cheeks now with Joe Mixon potentially missing time. He could miss anywhere between 4 games and 17 games. I don't know. Nick Chubb was washed last season. But the offensive line, hear me out. They will be better than they were last season, even after trading Laramie Tunsil. This to me is not a talent on the offensive line because they're clearly less talented, but having a different scheme and a new offensive coordinator to replace Bobby Slowick, I think they will be able to figure out the offensive line and have it work better as a sum of its parts than the individual parts. Jack, your thoughts?
Yeah, I basically agree from top to bottom. The Texans, I agree with that assessment. I'm just hoping that they fumble the bag against the Rams in week 1, mostly because I will be at that game. So I need to see a win. But no, the Texans should be a solid team this year. Hopefully contending a little bit deeper into the playoffs this year. But I guess we'll see. Jaguars, I guess it's good. I'm looking forward to seeing how Travis Hunter plays too. I'm seeing how much they want to play him at both corner and receiver. So that'll be fun to watch. They'll be a team worth keeping an eye on next year.
Absolutely. All right, we head to the AFC West, and these are not Jack's predictions. These are my predictions. I am lower on the Chargers because I'm higher on another one of the teams.
Yeah, I know which one.
Yes. I have my concerns genuinely with the offensive line. This was a team last year that did not have a particularly good interior. Zion Johnson, Bradley Bozeman. You bring in Mekhi Becton. I'm worried about his 1, injury history, 2, without Jeff Stoutland, the Eagles offensive line coach. I have my concerns. And your left tackle, your all-world Rashawn Slater left tackle, out for the season. Joe Alt slides from right tackle to left tackle. That's an adjustment. I know he was a terrific left tackle at Notre Dame. It's still an adjustment. Right tackle, you were bringing in not Joe Alt. That is the drop off here, unfortunately. And that's a scary problem to have in this division when teams have great pass rushes, great players defensively, and I have my concerns. Defensively, I think they'll be fine. I don't think they'll be the number 1 scoring defense again like they were last season. They should be good. Jesse Ventura is a terrific defensive mind. They have some like Derwin James, Ollie Gilman, Khalil Mack. I have my Khalil Mack questions. He is getting older. Maybe the cliff is coming. Joey Bosa, he's in Buffalo. Poona Ford, he is on the other LA team. I do have my genuine concerns here. Number 3, Denver. This is a schedule thing compared to the Raiders. The Raiders are in second, to be clear. I'll just fill out the rest here. Chiefs winning the division. This is not a debate. This is not, the Chiefs dynasty is over. We can talk about that another time. They are not, like, what are we doing? We are casting, like, hope. No, the Chiefs are going to win the division again. That's not a question. Why do I have Vegas over Denver? Like I said, part of it is a schedule bet, if you will. The Raiders just going through their schedule. I think they pick up a game here, pick up a game there, pick up another game here, and they have the all-important Week 18 game against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will be resting players, and the Raiders will get to play the Chiefs backups. May I ask how the Broncos made the playoffs last year? In some ways, it helps playing the Week 18 Chiefs. They won that game 38-0 and then got mollywopped by the Bills in the playoffs. I love Denver's defense. I have my Bo Nix questions. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball as dominantly as people think they will. That Sean Payton gets this benefit of the doubt, and as does Jim Harbaugh, frankly. They get this benefit of the doubt that, wherever they go, they have an elite rushing attack. And for Payton, that would be scheme-based. For Harbaugh, that would just be because he's a better man than you are. I don't know. RJ Harvey, yes, I'm trying to pick him up in fantasy. Am I sold that he will be an elite rushing threat immediately? No. Who am I sold will be an elite rushing threat immediately? Ashton Gentia, the Las Vegas Raiders. I like the offensive line. Not as good as Denver, to be clear. Denver is one of the teams that you could say has the best offensive line in football. Yes, even over Philly, you could make that argument. Yes, over Detroit, you could make that argument. Vegas, to me, is in a case of going from bottom 3 to 20th. Or 18th, Colt Miller. He's a stud at left tackle. Jackson Powers Johnson. I wish he was playing center, but I'm going to take Pete Carroll's word over my word. So I think they will figure it out. I think Gino will be protected. I don't think he'll throw quite as many back-breaking interceptions as he did last season with better protection, particularly on the interior. We'll get to Seattle in a little bit. Jack, your thoughts?
Well, I think the only good thing the Chargers have done all offseason was release a Minecraft video for their schedule release. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them finishing fourth. I mean, I do like that they brought back Keenan Allen for Justin Herbert, but I mean, yeah, there is a realistic world. I don't have them in my predictions personally. I don't have them last, but I don't think that they're. I don't know. I could see a world in which they just lose game after game after game again. That's kind of seems to be in their DNA. As for the Raiders, it's a wait and see thing for me because while I agree with everything you said, the organization, it's not the greatest organization. It's not the most well-run organization from top to bottom. Of course, that'll change because now Tom Brady is a part owner of that team, so that helps quite a bit. But I guess it's a wait and see thing because I agree improvement on the team. Pete Carroll, he's had the resume in the past. I think it hinges though on like, are we going to get like Super Bowl champion Pete Carroll? Are we gonna get Pete Carroll for the last like 2-3 years? Who is a guy that I regularly watched challenge obvious first downs or something like that. So we'll see. And then the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Chiefs is the Chiefs, as Pat McAfee has always said. I have to quote Pat McAfee because I'm not wearing sleeves, so I have to get at least one quote in there.
Fair enough.
Is still the Chiefs.
Fair enough. And I will go into my playoff predictions. I had the Bengals grabbing the first wild card, the Raiders grabbing the second wild card on a tiebreaker, and Pittsburgh grabbing the last wild card. So no Denver in the playoffs. Sorry. Buffalo, I have them finally getting over the hump and getting the number 1 seed. Chiefs is the 2 seed, Ravens is the 3 seed, and the Texans as the 4 seed, which brings us to wild card weekend, baby. I'm taking the home teams here. I think Houston has the horses to match Cincinnati's passing attack. Like, how many teams have multiple elite corners? I think Houston does with Stingley, of course, and Kamari Laster. They have terrific safeties as well, so it's not even a Andre Yoshivas is going to go bananas. He might. I don't think he would in that game. Mike Gesicki, I think, can get locked up by this is a really good Houston defense. I didn't talk about them much during the AFC South because they kind of dog walk the rest of the division. But hey, here we are. Ravens over Raiders. The Raiders are going to allow 500 rushing yards in this game. That's the analysis. Derrick Henry might run for 300 yards in that game. And then the Chiefs over the Steelers. Congratulations. Better than a bye. Hashtag. We have some upsets brewing in the divisional round. Frankly, this is a case of the Ravens and Chiefs game. I just flipped a coin. The winner of that game wins the Super Bowl. The loser gets the 2021 Bills treatment. The Chiefs eventually will lose a close game in the playoffs. Again, I flipped a coin. The winner was going to win the Super Bowl. Not to spoil the rest of my picks, but I think Baltimore is a team talented enough to beat Kansas City. It's a matter of you got to come through in the big moments. And Houston, I think, matches up spectacularly well with Buffalo. You saw in the regular season last year, Josh Allen looked like he was seeing ghosts, was 9 for 30. And Houston, that was a game that Houston didn't play particularly well, and they still won. Offensively, they didn't play particularly well. Defensively, they were great. But Buffalo, to me, doesn't have the outside weapons to be able to really challenge Stingley, challenge Laster, challenge this defense. And they're great tacklers. And Buffalo lives in this sort of yak world, specifically Khalil Shakir. And I think the tackling pros to Houston will be able to take down the mighty Buffalo, which means Houston would go to their first ever AFC Championship game. I have the Ravens defeating the Texans. We've seen this matchup before in the playoffs, 2023. Baltimore put BTA. We've seen it in the regular season. Baltimore whacked them on Christmas, whacked them week 1 of the 2023 season. So congratulations, Baltimore. You're going to the Superb Owl. Jack, your thoughts?
Don't disagree with Baltimore. I think they would be a very formidable AFC champion. My heart wants to see the Bills finally get revenge on the Chiefs at some point in the playoffs. I'm not saying even in the AFC title game. I'm just saying at some point during the playoffs, I want to see the Bills beat the Chiefs because a Bills Ravens AFC title game would go so hard. It really would. So I'm not
Yes.
doubting the Texans, but they're to me, one of those teams that has to do a bit more to prove that they can get over the line, which I think they can do, but there are some injuries that are creeping up on them.
Fair. All right. We head to the NFC East. Dallas, check out our Micah Parsons video for more information here. I think Dallas will legitimately stink this season. I have the Giants clearing them. I have the Commanders clearing everyone, and then I have the Eagles on top again, breaking the NFC East curse. That's probably the one hang up I have is, does the NFC East curse linger?
There has not been a repeat winner in the NFC East for, I believe,
21 seasons. The last one would be the 03-04 Eagles.
I was going to say between 20 and 30 years, so I didn't have the exact number, but there you go.
Yes, it's been a while. I think the Commanders will take a step back. They're not going to win 12 games again. This is not a knock against Jaden. Just some of the fourth down stuff. If it's not 87% and it's 70%, that swings a couple games. They would probably lose the Bears game if they played that again. Just the Hail Mary stuff. They had the weird game against Dallas. They did lose that game, but you have some weird games, some weird moments that go the other way. It's okay. So I think they will be heavily in contention for a playoff spot. And the Giants, watch out for that defense, man. If they get competent quarterback play, which has not been a given for a while, and I'm not saying he's a top 15 quarterback or anything, but Russ is an upgrade over the Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, that room last season. So maybe the Giants win 6 or 7 games and spoil some teams come December and January.
Yeah,
Jack,
they can be a trap team for somebody. I know the Rams recently had a game. They've had a few games as of late, actually, in the last several years against really since 2020, where the Giants seemed to be a problem team for them. They didn't lose, but I think it was only like 2021 where they like destroyed them. But otherwise, it was like, you shouldn't sleep on the Giants. Obviously, the Rams against the Giants is not my only reason for saying that, but it's like the Giants just in general. It's like, if they figure out a few things, and I know your opinion on Dexter Lawrence, so things will, I don't think they're going to be that awful in New York for that much longer, but we'll see.
That we will see. We head to the NFC North. Oh boy, this is a tough one to rank 1 through 4. This is a division that I think any order could be applicable, frankly. I have the Bears coming in last. I get the easier schedule. They did draw some tough games like the Raiders, the Niners, so even the Giants. So not exactly givens that they will win those games. Defensively, I still have some questions. I question what sort of pass rush they will be able to get. Can we upgrade that a little bit more? They do have a new scheme. Matt Eberflus is gone. So maybe that more of an attacking defense is going to benefit the Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker if he's healthy, those players. So I'm excited to watch the Bears this season. But 8-9 or 9-8 might not get you out of last place in this division. Number 3, I have Minnesota. They won 14 games last season. They're not going to win 14 games this season. This is the JJ McCarthy question. If he's good, they could win the division. If he's not good, they could finish last. If he's somewhere in between, I think he'll be somewhere in between. If he's, QB 23 this season, I think the Vikings roster is good enough to finish, in a playoff position or relatively close to a playoff position. And to wrap up, we have the Lions winning the division again, Packers coming in second. I did flip one game when I went back and touched up my rankings before we recorded. I had the Vikings over the Packers, but both teams in the playoffs. Now I have the Packers over the Vikings. Again, both teams in the playoffs. So spoiler alert, the Packers, I do appreciate that you add in a Micah Parsons on top of a pretty good roster. You had the Rashawn Garys, the Xavier McKinneys, and then offensively, Josh Jacobs. I expect Matthew Golden to have a big season. Their first round pick at wide receiver in 23 years. Jordan Love, top half quarterback, all you can ask for. And then the Lions. I know you lose Frank Ragnow, but defensively, this is a much better unit than it was last season. I know you lose Aaron Glenn, so I do think you limit the upside, the true Super Bowl upside of the Lions. But Jared Goff, still there, still a good quarterback.
Not a top 15 quarterback, but still good nonetheless.
He's a top 15 quarterback, not a top 15 player in the
Or
game.
not a top 15 player. Sorry, I need to amend that statement there. The NFL top 100 is iffy list, to say the least.
Yes, we can agree with that. So I'm in Goff, Gibbs, Montgomery, Jameson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Isaac Tesla might be the greatest thing in the history of the NFL. Sam Laporta, still a good offensive line, even if you have some questions. Defensively, Aiden Hutchinson is still there. He's still cooking. Terry and Arnold in year 2, that should be fun. They bring in DJ Reed. This is a unbelievably smart decision. I can't stress how different the Jets situation now with Brandon Stevens, Ravens legend, versus having DJ Reed. DJ Reed is a superstar level player. He is going to be a stud. Lions fans, pick up his jersey. Check your thoughts.
Yeah, top 3 for me in this division are interchangeable. Maybe more so the top 2 than the top 3, but the Vikings, like you said, JJ McCarthy question. If he stands up and performs, then I don't think they're going to miss a beat. If I will say it's going to be really, really hard though for teams to kind of get around Micah Parsons. Like that's a top 5 defensive player in football being traded to the Green Bay Packers, and I said it. If you can go back and watch our Micah Parsons video, please do. But that trade, it makes Green Bay like instant contenders. So they could realistically, I think 3 of these teams realistically could win this division.
I think the Bears, it's on the table. They win the division. You have a new offense with Ben Johnson. Caleb looks, at least preseason. It's preseason. I know preseason. They didn't beat the Bills 38-0 in preseason, but Caleb looks a lot more confident. So I don't know. They could be a worst first candidate. The NFC South, no worst first candidate here. The Saints, they stink.
Yeah.
Carolina.
You stink slightly less.
Yeah, this is, to be clear, I don't like Carolina in 3rd. I also don't like Tampa or Atlanta in 3rd, but that's just how it's going to be. One of the teams has to finish in 3rd place. Carolina can really run the ball, and I think they'll be able to really throw the ball. I'm super high on Teteroa McMillan, Bear Down Go Cats, super high on Bryce Young relative to a lot of people. I have my excitement. However, defensively, I think they will get run on still. I think the Bucky Irvings and Bijan Robinsons of the division will still cook them and could run for 100 yards, 120 yards. I don't love the moves. Some of the moves they made, they were kept out of the Milton Williams conversation by the Patriots saying money. They go get him Pat Jones, and they did draft a pair of players, 2nd and 3rd round, Nick Scorton from Texas A&M and Princey Umanmielen from, I want to say Ole Miss. I could be mistaken there, but I like that for future proofing your roster. T-Mac in the 1st round. I love that. Jalen Coker, watch out. I'm just saying, watch out. If Xavier Legette continues to not be able to catch the football. I have the Falcons in 2nd, Bucks winning the division. Atlanta, man, it just sucks losing Caleb McGarry. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He's just an unbelievable run blocker, and you lose that. And now you might upgrade in pass protection, honestly, because he's not much of a pass protector, but this run blocking offensive line, Jake Matthews, just a rock solid run blocker. You do lose Drew Dahlman. He's in Chicago now at center, but I mean, right guard, right tackle, Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry. There's not any better than those guys in the running game. But that's no more, unfortunately, this season. So hopefully a speedy recovery for one Caleb McGarry. And the Bucks, defensively, you have some questions, but I think Todd Bowles will have them playing the right way, playing with their hair on fire, if you will. Offensively, they're going to be elite. Jack, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Bucks are head and shoulders above everybody else in this division. Obviously, the Falcons, they're kind of a scrappy team with Tampa Bay. Every now and then they can keep it close, but this is Tampa's division to lose.
All right, we head to the NFC West, where Jack is very happy.
I'm happy with that prediction. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I am happy with this prediction.
Yes, this is similar to the NFC North conversation to me, that the Niners could win 8 or 9 games and still finish last, because I'm really high on the rest of the division. And one thing that could be that could be damning for the 49ers. The rest of the division can really, really run the football. Kyron Williams in LA, K9 and Charbonnet in Seattle, Arizona with their really funky scheme and a top 10-ish back in James Conner. San Francisco, it remains to be seen if they can stop the run. Yes, I know Robert Saleh is back, but not to get too into the weeds here. The way his defenses work, unless you have Nick Bosa, and yes, you have Nick Bosa, but the other edge is not Nick Bosa, is notably not Nick Bosa. And your interior pieces, you don't have a tree stump like you did with Quinnen Williams with the Jets. In Saleh's previous tenure with the 49ers, you had DeForest Buckner. You had one of the best players on the interior. You had Eric Armstead, who is a terrific player. Now you don't have that. You don't have those key pieces. You are relying heavily on rookies, CJ West, Alfred Collins, to come in and stop the run. And I think the Niners go 1-5 in the division. I think one of them, I think Seattle or LA take a game, or they might take a game off Seattle or LA. I know they own Sean McVay sometimes. They've owned
Not
Seattle
anymore.
at times. Arizona swept San Francisco last year. I think Arizona sweeps them again, and we'll get to Arizona in a minute. But I have my concerns. I think, the fourth place schedule is great. They go 1-5 in the division. It doesn't matter. Seattle in third. Defense to the moon. Defense to the absolute moon. Mike McDonald in year 2. I'm super excited to see that. It's an exceptionally talented defense. Julian Love at safety. Devon Witherspoon, he's the top 100 player in my eyes at corner. You can play him at nickel. They figured out the linebacker room to some degree. They had a bunch of weird trades and whatnot, but they're figuring that out. Leonard Williams, to me, top 50 player in the game. Uchenna Nwosu, welcome back, buddy. Byron Murphy on the interior. He's a tree stump. San Francisco, you could learn a thing or two. Offensively, yes, the Sam Darnold of it all, but I think the offensive line will be improved. Gray Zabel has looked like a massive hit in the first round. Great pick. Really good rushing attack in a new Kubiak scheme. They're going to run the ball a little bit differently than they had in previous iterations. And the JSN, Cooper Kupp, Torrey Horton, watch out. Just saying, watch out. I don't know if Cooper Kupp is cooked, but I don't think he needs to be cooked or undercooked here. JSN is I think a legitimate number 1 wide receiver, a top 25 to 30 guy in the game. And I think they could win 10 games again. Will they? Maybe not, but I think they could finish above 500 certainly and to round out the division. I have the Rams in second, Arizona winning the division. The Arizona Cardinals. Jack, I'm sure you're going to talk about the Rams quite a bit here.
I am.
My Cardinals defense. This is a team that won on the margins the last couple years. They won on scheme. They won on Jonathan Gannon being a psychopath in terms of his blitz creation. They won in the way of how Navy beats you in football, that they out executed you. They don't have the talent. They don't have the athletes that other teams do. The Cardinals last season had legitimately a CFL defensive line. Jesse Luketa is now in the CFL. He was their number 1 pass rusher last season. Well, besides Zayvon Collins. You have brought in basically 2 whole line changes worth of real and legitimate NFL talent. It starts to me with Calais Campbell. We talk about tree stumps. That man is a tall glass of water, 6'8", all of 320 pounds. Just a tremendous player. I'm so excited for him to be back where his career began back in 2008. You bring in Will Johnson as a corner as well. You have one of the best safety duos in football, Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson. This is a really, really good roster now, and we can say that for once. And yes, there's the Kyler questions, but James Conner in the running game will help him out. The receiving game, Trey McBride is a top 3 tight end. He's number 3 to me behind Bowers and Kittle. You can flip them whatever order. McBride's 3. Marvin Harrison in year 2. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see this offensive line. You have Paris Johnson, who is a developing and ascending left tackle. And unlike when I mentioned him earlier with the Will Campbell example, he's not in year 1. He's in year 3 and ascending very, very quickly. Holte Froholt at center. That's fun for me. I appreciate that. It's the Rams at 2. Why do I have the Rams at 2? I have some Stafford questions. I have some pass blocking offensive line questions. I think the run blocking will be very good. I like how Sean McVay is adjusted on the fly and pivoted from his outside zone influences, the Shanahan-y stuff. He is now, I'm going to run the ball down your throat and you're going to like it. So that's
As it
a
should
fun
be.
that's a fun change up, I will admit. So that's exciting. And Jack, the floor is yours, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see what's going to keep the Rams down is the problem. I don't see what's going to hold them back. I feel like, as much as I hate to admit it, because I wish Cooper Kupp would have gotten the chance to retire here, he's not what he used to be. And Devontae Adams is about the best upgrade you can possibly get. So it's like, I don't necessarily see what's slowing them down because they didn't lose. They lost some key pieces. Sure, I'm not saying they didn't lose anybody, but the core of their team that gave the Eagles a run for the money in the playoffs last year, it's still there for the most part. Jared Verse is him. And alongside Braden Fisk, and then you throw Puna Ford into the mix, Kobe Turner, Byron Young. That pass rush. I think the one issue that a lot of people had with the Rams defense last year was they couldn't stop the run. Puna Ford stops the run. And
he's a tree stump for you.
Yeah. And then, Stafford, obviously, there's the back problem. Sure, that's completely fair questions to have there, but everybody's been talking about since his return to practice, he's just throwing dimes to Puka Nacua, throwing dimes to Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington even as well. So I just don't think if the Cardinals are going to win the division, they're going to have to rip it away from the Rams.
Fair. And I think this could come down to a tiebreaker. This could come down to Arizona sweeping the 49ers while the Rams split, or sweeping Seattle versus splitting with Seattle.
I mean, that is what we saw last year was the tiebreaker. That's how the Rams won the division, was because of a tiebreaker. And
exactly,
that's the thing too, is that like they don't die. Like the last 2 seasons, they've gotten off to really crappy starts, and they have the bye week, and then they just barely lose games. So it's like the runs they go on late in the season under Sean McVay is insane.
Fair. This is absolutely fair, and there's a reason I have both of them in the playoffs. So I have the Eagles grabbing the 1 seed again, Bucks as the 2, Arizona as the 3, Detroit as the 4, Green Bay as the 5, Minnesota as the 6, and the Rams sneaking in as the 7 seed. This is all subject to tiebreaker. All of these teams to me are 10-7, like 9-8, 10-7 types. So if you're mad that the Rams are 7th as opposed to 3rd, there's like one random stray game could be the difference there. A game that's Stafford misses with a back injury, or Stafford throws 3 picks, or Kyler misses because Call of Duty drops, or whatever. That could be the difference.
That's the thing about the NFL and predicting games before the start of the season, is that like we're making all these predictions now, and then mid-season something happens. We're like, okay, well, the Cardinals aren't winning the division now, or something like that. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like it applies to every team. If if Kyler goes down, Cardinals are cooked. Like if Goff goes down, Lions are cooked. If Baker goes down, the Bucks are cooked. If Hurts goes down, Tanner McKee is going to win the MVP. If the Packers go down, honestly, that would be a 1930s offense with Malik Willis, but maybe they win some games. Vikings, I believe their second string quarterback is a UDFA, so don't know how well that's going to go. But yeah, and if the Rams, if Matthew Stafford goes down, you have Jimmy G, who I guess gives
I'm not worried about Jimmy G.
Like something of a competent option, but I have my concerns. I'll say
I'm not too worried about Jimmy G. I can agree with you there. I think he does still need to prove it a little bit, but I think he proved last year in the Week 18 game where everybody was resting starters. I think he looked fine. So I think he can lead the offense well enough. And he got time with them too, because while Stafford was dealing with the back problems, that means Jimmy G has to go and play with the ones in practice, so and in training camp. So that all that chemistry, it can help.
All right, let's hop into the wild card round. I have the home teams winning here: Lions over Packers, Cardinals over Vikings, and Bucks over Rams. Sorry, Jack.
That'll be close. If we play the Bucks in the playoffs, that'll be a close one.
Now, I will say Tristan Wirfs would be back for this game. If you played them week 2, I would pick the Rams. I think the Vikings will be able to run the ball in Minnesota. Minnesota does get Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen. Those guys are more pass-oriented than run-oriented. Is Kyler good enough to solve the Brian Flores blitz? I don't know. That is certainly a question. Although I will say it would be funny if Minnesota's season ended in Arizona back-to-back years. on the road in the playoffs. So
I don't know how much I trust Brian Flores anymore because of the complete meltdown they had last year.
yes, but that was to me more of an offensive meltdown than a defensive meltdown.
Sure,
Also,
but
Matthew Stafford kind of knows how to convert against a blitz.
yeah.
So second round, it's all chalk here. The 2 seed Bucks, the 1 seed Eagles. Eagles Lions, a game we probably should have gotten last year. That's an exciting matchup. The Cardinals, their miracle run ends here. And the bake show does not stop in Philadelphia. Todd Bowles is going to have those boys on absolute smelling salts. Shout out to George Kittle. On absolute salts. They're going to just like every read option with Barkley and Hurts is going to be tackled for a loss. AJ Brown, get in the back pocket, buddy. Devontae Smith, get in the other back pocket, buddy. Zion McCollum is going to have the game of his life. Jamel Dean is going to have the game of his life. Antoine Winfield is going to pick off a stupid Hurts throw. The offensive line, the Bucks with Tristan Wirfs, Luke Kadecki, Graham Barton, that's his name, the center out of Duke. He's a stud. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to the Super Bowl to face the Baltimore Ravens. Again, that was a coin flip with the Chiefs. And the winner of Super Bowl 60.
He's picking the Ravens.
Yeah, like I said, it was a coin flip. The Ravens, I do think, match up pretty well with Kansas City. Well, not with Kansas City, with Tampa.
I'm sure they match up well with Kansas City in your eyes.
I hope so. Oh my, they are the best chance. Actually, Philly's probably the best chance to just boat race the Chiefs. That's the best way to beat the Chiefs, is just to just boat race them. The best way to beat the Ravens is to not boat race them, because they're very difficult to boat race. Not saying the Chiefs aren't, but you like break a couple runs. I think the Ravens would have the best chance to just boat race the Chiefs. Like if you had to bet on a team to beat them by 30, I think the Ravens would be that team. But if you want to beat the Ravens, just drag them into the mud and wait for them to poop their pants. Honestly. But yeah, congratulations. I believe this is the first time I've picked the Ravens to actually get it done. So if they don't, that'd be really disappointing. So Jack, your thoughts on my playoff bracket?
I mean, I don't agree necessarily with the Rams losing to the Bucks, but if we get a Bucks Ravens Super Bowl, I will love that. So, just for A, sheer entertainment vibes, and B, it's not the Eagles. So this would be a fun Super Bowl. I would like that to happen if it could happen. Just I have different thoughts about how the Rams are going to do. So you and I guess, are both biased, but I guess it is what it is.
Hey, man, I said it was a coin flip. Maybe I'm biased because I have the Texans beating the Bills again.
That one's weird.
I don't know. Watch out. Watch out.
All right.
There's our predictions. There's my predictions. Jack might have his later in the week.
I'll probably drop mine on social media at some point because I don't know if I have time to make all the graphics, but
all good.
Yeah, we'll put them soon. Comment your predictions down below too.